Say they're now on the hook to foot massive bills after President Trump ordered the Department of Agriculture to freeze spending for grants and loans promised under the Biden administration. The Trump administration, though, rescinded the pause less than 2 days later, but the farmers who need that money still feeling the impact. Maryland flower farmer Laura Beth Resnick is joining us now. First of all, just explain, what effect did this freeze and then the reversal of the freeze have on you? Are you still dealing with the consequences of this?
Yes, we are. We signed our contract with the government about a year ago to put solar panels on our barn. And about a year later, the project was complete, and we were supposed to get our funding the week that the funding freeze was announced. And we still haven't seen the money. And when we asked the government representative where it was and what we should do, they informed us that our funding request had been rejected due to the funding freeze.
Okay, so your funding had been approved, and then the freeze happened, it was rescinded, and now they're telling you it's been rejected. Do you have any understanding of why that is?
I don't. They haven't been in touch with us since they told us that, and they told us just to wait and that there's a lot of moving parts and that no one's really sure what's going on. So it's a very stressful time.
Do you think this is part of the design of all this, is that they're saying, look, the freeze is no longer in place, but in fact, it is still in place, just more quietly?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just a farmer trying to do my work. I have no idea how these things work. I mean, we have relied on government grants before to build our farm. And, I started farming right out of college. I was 23 years old, didn't have a whole lot of money of my own. Farming, you don't make a whole lot. So, the profit margins are so slim. These government programs are just so important for helping new farmers and farmers who don't have, independent wealth to get going. So, in the past, there's been no problem with these government grants and loans, but this is the first time I've ever had anything like this.
What does, not getting the other half of that $73,000, which is nothing to sneeze at, mean to your business?
It's hard to even think about. We already have loans for building our farm. We bought our own farm after a decade of leasing land just a couple years ago. So we already have a farm service agency loan that allowed us to build heated greenhouses to grow our flowers during those winter holidays like Valentine's Day and Easter. So it's hard to imagine taking on more debt. We're sort of scraping by, just paying back the loan that we already have as it is.
Have you thought about just sort of applying for new grants? I mean, what would that be? And do you just expect that they're going to get rejected as well?
It would feel strange to apply for more grants, given that I don't feel like I can trust that they will be issued. This particular grant, was the kind of thing where you put the money up first and then you get reimbursed. So, we're waiting and we're hoping, but if a future grant opportunity from the government comes up, I'll definitely pause before accepting, because I would be afraid this might happen again.
Is this happening to your fellow farmers? Are you hearing this from anyone else in your world?
Yes, absolutely. Everyone is really scared. People have reached out to me all over the country sharing similar stories. There's two other farms in Maryland who were in the middle of receiving their grant contracts for their solar panels as well. So there's at least 2 other people who are in the exact same position as me. And then there's also other government grants, not even this one, but ones for building high tunnels and putting a well on your property and putting up fencing for livestock. And all of those are frozen. So everyone is kind of in limbo and just feeling very nervous.
Laura Beth Resnick, thank you so much for talking us through this and giving us the real world impact of some of the things that the administration is doing. And by the way, the flowers that we saw from your farm are gorgeous. I might be calling you a little bit later. Those are beautiful. So appreciate you coming on this morning.
Thank
you. All right. John.
All right, this morning, the
here tonight. Happy to be with you. Tell me about this protest today at CFPB headquarters. Well, so we're in this moment where Donald Trump ran for president saying over and over and over he was going to lower costs for American families. Remember how much he talked about the price of groceries, the price of eggs, right? Going to lower those costs. And now here we are 3 weeks into the Trump administration. And they say this Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is literally the cop on the beat to make sure that a family doesn't get cheated when they take out a mortgage, that you don't get tricked in the fine print on a car loan, that your credit card doesn't have a bunch of hidden fees in it, that your student loan issuer hasn't scammed you and put you in the wrong program. So this is an agency that literally, over the 13 years it's been out there working, has recovered more than $21 billion that these big financial institutions have cheated people out of, and actually returned the money to the people that they cheated. So what Donald Trump has done, saying he really wanted to lower costs, is he's taken this agency that is the cop on the beat for the cheaters, and when they get caught cheating, makes them give the money back. And he said, cops, step aside, look the other way. We don't care how big the scam is. We don't care who's getting hurt. Just everybody put your pins down, fold your hands, put them in your lap, and let the scams roll on.
What do you make about the way they have done this? Because you and I have spoken before, since the formation of the CFPB, about all the ways that Republicans have tried to come after it and all the ways that, you know, people who represent these financial institutions have tried to kill it, have tried to undermine it. If it was this easy, if it was just a proclamation, tell all the workers to go home, stop working on any of this stuff, and by the way, we're shutting the building, why didn't they do it like this before? It seems to me like that might be an indication that this isn't actually a legal way to close this agency.
Oh, that's exactly right. Congress created this agency. There were laws that were passed, right? They passed a bill in the House, passed a bill in the Senate, did a conference, got the thing through, was signed into law by the President of the United States. And only Congress, not Donald Trump, not Elon Musk, not some 22-year-old programmer. Only Congress can shut this agency down. But here's the trick on that one. You notice none of the Republicans, oh, yeah, they beat on their chests and they're big manly guys and they keep putting in these bills to say, let's shut down the consumer agency. But they don't actually want a real vote on that. A lot of them don't actually want to stand next to exactly what they're trying to do. And that is shut down the agency that has handled more than 6 million consumer complaints by people who got cheated, by their credit card companies, by payday loan companies. They don't want to admit what they're trying to do. Remember, that $21 billion, that came out of somebody's hide. And you know whose hide it came out of? The cheaters and the scammers. It came out of the hides of the billionaire CEOs. And they would like to have the opportunity to earn that money going forward. So they want to push. But there are a lot of folks in Congress actually kind of squeamish about that. So they did the end run. They tried it through the courts. You know what the Supreme Court of the United States said? Not once, but twice. Thing is perfectly constitutional. Yep, it's going to go forward. If you want to change it, you've got to go back to Congress. And now here's Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and a handful of 22-year-olds saying, no, we think we're just going to find another way to shut it down. It's not only not legal and not popular. Really, it's a case of saying they want to fire the financial cops, but they'd like for nobody really to notice that. And particularly, Elon Musk would like nobody to notice that he just wants to get rid of them before he launches his new financial product.
Let me ask you about the point you just raised there about how the Supreme Court has weighed in on this twice already and said this is a constitutionally sound agency that you can't just wish it away.
Yep.
I feel like this is not an original thought. I think a lot of people are having this thought at the same time, which is for all of these court challenges that are happening, most of which are succeeding at stopping the things they've tried to do in these first 3 weeks. For each of those, we have started to see them now make noises about potentially defying those court rulings. We have had in the USAID case and in the halt to government funding case, we have had the plaintiffs in those cases go back to the judges and say, Your Honor, your order that the government needed to stop doing what they were doing, they seem to be defying your order. We're going to need something stronger. What do you make of this big, I think, constitutionally existential question about whether or not court rulings are going to be treated as optional by these guys? Their brazenness at breaking the law, whether it's with the CFPB or USAID or any of these other things they're doing, seems to me born of a kind of confidence that can only come from their expectation that the courts don't mean much at the end of the day, and that illegality is not necessarily a reason to avoid doing something that they really want to do.
You're right.
Trump's out here taking a sledgehammer to the very people who put him in office. Farmers, working class folks, everyone. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, or Independent. Dude is throwing hands at all of them. Remember when the whole pitch was Trump's got your back? He's for the heartland. He's fighting the coastal elites? Yeah, that aged like milk. Now he's straight up coming for farmers. The same people his base was supposed to ride or die for. And yeah, farming's big business now, but even the corporate farmers get respect. Trump wasn't elected to go after them. And it's not just farmers. Liz Warren's out here pointing out that Trump's also gutting the only watchdog keeping banks and businesses from scamming regular people. If Trump and Elon get their way, your bank fees are going up, shady businesses can rip you off easier, and you're left holding the bag.